Good morning, dear viewer. It is currently right now 7 o'clock in the morning and 52 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're getting ready for a beautiful summer day out here. Today we're going for a rucksack hike out at the very exciting Paris Mountain State Park. So it should be a really good time. Now I know we're used to seeing a lot more of our jeeping and camping, but this is an outdoors channel, so we're going to diversify here just a little bit. Though don't worry, jeeping is definitely at the heart of it. So I'm gonna make a little movie magic happen here, and we're gonna get down the road and instantly show up at Paris Mountain. Are you ready? Don't you just love the magic of film editing? So now we've arrived here at Paris Mountain, so we're gonna go ahead and unpack our things and get going for the day. Are you here? Paris Mountain was created by the Civilian Conservation Corps in 1937. Overall, there are 1,700 acres to explore here, with 4 separate lakes to also enjoy. Here in front of Lake Placid is the old bathhouse. What formerly was, as the name implies, a bathhouse, has now grown into the actual park visitor center, information, and of course, don't worry, there's a restroom there too. Getting down to it is relatively easy as well, as it is a footpath which is paved with stone. So you'll find it relatively easily accessible from the parking lot to here. Another fun note is that fishing is allowed within the park with a valid license. When you take a look out here, you can actually come out to Lake Placid, as well as further in the back 2 miles in. You can also fish over at Reservoir number 3, otherwise known as the North Lake. The types of fish include bass and catfish. I would like to say that this entire place is very family friendly. As another note, park admission is not free. For the average adult, it costs $6. However, if you impersonate a 5-year-old, it is free to enter. It is also worth pointing out that although this is a bike-friendly park, you do need to stay away on a Saturday as it is very busy. But you can take a look over here. The rest of the week it's open to you, and there's a paddock over there to actually work on your bicycle. So now we've started out here at the trailhead, and as it begins, it's actually relatively easy. We'll be passing by the amphitheater and a couple really basic bridges here. There's still a car park and a basic path up here as well. But we're gonna start making our way and beginning our 10-mile ruck, though as we get going, we'll have a few things to talk about. While that's happening though, please follow me. So now that we're out here at Paris Mountain, you're probably wondering, why did he pack such a large bag? Well, let me start off by saying that this bag in and of itself is not the ideal bag for a general day hike. You can go much smaller and lighter. This is specifically packed for training purposes and currently weighs about 60 pounds with what we have. There are several items here that we really don't need. For example, do I need to carry a kukri knife? Absolutely not. Do I need to have my bed padding? No. But several items are thrown in here just for the sake of weight. This aids me in the world of training for my job and is for what I do in competition and leisure as well. Even with that said, although we are packed with superfluous items for the sake of adding weight in this training, it's important that you properly pack your bag still and that you bring all the essentials, including a source of water here, which encases the camelback. But in case you have a rupture, I also really suggest that you bring something like this old-fashioned military canteen in a hard body. These are practically bulletproof, and they're just hard as nails. So aside from your water, something else which is important to have, of course, is your nutrition. In this case, we have pre-made bars and mixed nuts. Make sure that you have this somewhere readily accessible, which in this case is our outside-most flap. That's easy for me to get to as well as anyone in my group. A second note, of course, is to have medical supplies readily available. In general, I like to keep these on my hip in an IFAK, so an individual first aid kit to carry, which includes trauma and boo-boo care. So one final item I'd like to bring up, especially at this time now that we're coming from spring into summer, is to bring along with you some insect repellent. Now, some people are a big fan of the aerosols, but I don't like it because they take up a lot of space, and frankly, it's very wasteful. I prefer something like this, a Murphy's stick. It's really easy to use, and I'll demonstrate shortly how to properly apply this. For those of you not accustomed, the actual application of this is very easy. Just pop off the top. You'll rub down actually on your skin in and of itself and get a good coating and just rub it in. Further, get your legs, get your socks, because you don't want anything climbing up and getting you there. Along with that, when it comes to doing the face, get the back side here of your neck. Actually get on your cheeks. And don't even be afraid to go in and do your hair. But something I really suggest is don't do your forehead. Because if you do your forehead and you're sweating profusely, it tends to get into your eyes and burn. So that in totality are all the essentials of my bag. And please keep in mind again, there are plenty of non-essentials in there that just add weight for the sake of training and better exercise. If you're not comfortable with that and you're not trained for it, and most of all, if you have an improper fit, please don't carry that much weight. Start off much lighter and get accustomed to the proper packing of a bag. But all of that said now, let's go ahead and take this baby for a hike in Paris Mountain. Cameraman, would you please throw me my hat? It wasn't bad. Follow me. With all of that stated, we moved on our way, and we started out here on the map at Mountain Creek Trail, which is relatively moderate and only about 1.5 miles in length. It'll take you about 30 to 45 minutes to travel, depending, and there really are some lovely sights to see along the way. All in all, the beginning half is very accessible to most, but once you start passing by the amphitheater, to the left here on the sign, things will slowly pick up. This charmingly AI-generated bird before you is actually the representative for the Music in the Woods. Although the sign here is outdated, it takes place between September and October. It's an entirely solar-powered event, and aside from park admission, it's free to everyone. Although, for the rest of the year, most of the times you'll just see families sitting here and enjoying the sun. Moving on further, things do start to change up a bit as the woods will come in a bit closer and the trails will get a bit smaller. But again, it's nothing too crazy. Just keep in mind that this is not handicapped accessible at this point, and can be a bit more difficult. Though, there are plenty of ways to make it easier on yourself. Some days it's just fun to pick the more difficult path. Eventually you'll hit a four-way here at the Sulphur Springs parking area, and it's easily spotted by the giant rock. This is where the hiking, in my opinion, gets to be at its best and becomes its most fun. Though keep in mind, this is also the most popular route, as you'll soon find out. I'm really disappointed to say already, starting out, we've already taken battle damage here. If you take a look at my pant leg, a complete and total rip. Isn't that exciting? So it's really nice to aerate much more deeply than I initially planned, but I have to say that Red Hood brand, I'm so disappointed in you. Why'd you do me like this already? We're only 1.5 miles in. Here's a really fun find. You want to see something? Come up here. Come up real quick. Remember, folks, to clean up after your dogs. Bruh. The fresh smell of nature. Before us here is the original 1890 dam, one of the few remaining CCC constructions that actually contributed to the development of Greenville. Here's a sign proving it. Further, here's one of the favorite play places for children, the original control room and pump house. From here, the angle of the path elevates rather quickly, and the difficulty will continue to escalate from here. Fun note, you're going to have to do some climbing if you want to get to the next part. It continues up this way if you want to follow. Although the map says differently, I argue that here at the dam is where Sulphur Springs really begins. Once you come by the water side, the trail quickly goes smaller and smaller, which is nice because it gives you the opportunity to see some of the local flora and fauna. At this section here, you can easily see that it is now a one-man footpath. As you can see out here, it's going to progressively get more difficult because here on Sulphur Trail, we're going to keep going up and up and up all the way to the fire watch. So hang in with us, huh? Once this smaller section ends, the road opens up a little bit and you'll cross over here on some solid rock and then a waterway, which at this time of year is very easy unless it rains. From here you'll be starting up into the valley and slowly elevate further as you walk along the creek trail. Mind your head. This is why this is the most popular trail out here. Sulphur, take a look at that. You get to see these all over. So when you're out here, what I just find so fantastic is that you're really mesmerized by this. From the maple to the magnolia, the cypress, even the poison ivy. I was going to say, you find this so captivating. The reason that this is such a popular trailhead is that even though you're within the city, you're nearly entirely encapsulated by nature itself all around you. The running waters down there, and you're just in this valley with sheer rock face on both sides. It really is just a great place to come and get away from it all. Even better, if you want to go back into the city, you're only 15 minutes from downtown Greenville. It's like Central Park on steroids. Come on. Now, as nice and heartfelt as that previous sentence was, there is a harder note. We're not even halfway, so we still have to keep climbing, and the grade's only going to get worse. Isn't that swell? I would like to add now that none of this is by any means true mountaineering. There are several families that we ran into out here, but what makes it more difficult for us again is the added rucksack weight. So if you're doing something like this, be sure to take short measured steps and really think about the path you want to carry. Right here is where we finally round out the curve and we're pretty much done with the climb. And the best thing about it is the breeze is so cool up here and the flowers are fresh. From here, we're gonna make our way up to the actual fire watch if you keep along. So now that we've finished Sulphur Trail, we're heading up this way to the fire watch. This is a fairly easy and a very beginner trail. It's relatively flat with a minor incline. So instead of doing a lot of A and B roll, instead, what I'm gonna do is use some movie magic and take you there instantly. Just watch. Wow, look at that, movie magic at work. I have no idea how we got here. Anyhow, this behind us is the actual original 1938 fire watch, which was built during the Great Depression by the Civilian Conservation Corps. It was moved in 1943, but really it's so cool to see the original slate foundation and what's left of the two chimneys here. We'll have to get you a wide shot soon so you can really get a great look at this whole site. I'd like to give the audience an admission now that our battery failed at this point during filming. Further, the lavalier was not recording quite properly, so we had to do some work on it. So, taking a bit of an intermission here, we're going to have an interpretive take on what it looked like to do the Kanuga and the Pippessewa trails. Sorry guys, but it might be fun. Whoa, wow, take a look at that over there. Hi gang, isn't it swell to be out here on the Kanuga and Pippessewa in the beauty of nature itself? Ho, let's go hike it and have some fun. Oh man, I sure do love hiking here. This is swell. Wow, look at that. Ooh, ah. Man, just look at that flora and fauna. Doesn't this just take your breath away? See, this is why I love hiking. Whoa, almost tripped on some string there. Gotta be careful, guys. Whoa, cameraman, zoom in on this. Look at that massive snail. He's the size of my head. That's crazy.
Look at that, look at that. I'm speechless. Whoa, get this, look at that ladybug. It is the size of my fist. I've never in my life seen something that massive. Oh, wow. That's a big flower. There must be something in the water out here, guys, because this is getting crazy. Everything out here is massive. It's like Texas or something. Oh my, look at that, guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. It's a waterfall. Isn't that beautiful? Aw, man, it just puts my soul at ease. Oh, yeah, hey there, guys. Wow, that was a real crazy time out there, wasn't it? But the Pippessewa and Kanuga are totally worth your time. Thank you for coming along. Now, I must be on my way. Back down the hill. To be serious for a moment, the Kanuga and Pippessewa are relatively easy, as they're either flat or going downhill.
So, real quickly, I'd just like to share my thoughts about being out here, especially now that we're on an easier path. As always, I just love being out here. This is really a pleasant place. I would like to say if you're looking for an area that is depopulated of humans, you've come to the completely wrong area. Again, Paris Mountain is pretty much dead center of Greenville, and Greenville is a major metropolitan area in South Carolina, so everyone and their brother comes out here, especially on the weekends. Now that's perfectly fine because everyone has a right, but if you're really looking to get away, you might want to look somewhere else. Taking that point further though, there's still plenty of trails to come out here and enjoy, and frankly, everyone has a right to be out here. You pay taxes after all. And it really reminds you of what it's like to be in nature again. And it gives you a sense of just relief, let's say. I always find it therapeutic to be here. You really aren't going to see many housing developments or cars till you actually leave the perimeter of this area. Really, I highly suggest people come out to Paris Mountain because it's so easily accessible. It's intermediate, beginner, and even more difficult if you'd like it to be strenuous. You can make it as hard as you want. But this is an everyman's place, so please consider coming out here, not only for hiking, but as well as for biking, fishing, and just basic recreation. It's worth your time.
With that said, we came to the Brissy Ridge after finishing the Pippessewa, and again, this is where more climbing is incurred. It begins at a four-way where the Pippessewa meets the Brissy, and then you cross a short bridge.
Just in case you thought some of the other sections were a little too easy for you, don't worry. Now they're even easier. We just have a stairway that keeps going for I don't know how long.
This section of Brissy Ridge, I'd like to add, is only for hikers. No biking is allowed. This area in particular isn't the most trying, but it's going to continually build up on you, especially in the elements. So I can admit that when I got to the top of this, I might have sweat just a little bit. Just a little. You may notice when you come out here that although several areas have been cleared, there is significant damage from storms of previous seasons, including this one. So be careful when you're out here, and keep in mind that this pathway in and of itself is far less developed than the more popular and easily accessible areas. Here is a good example of what I'm talking about. You can easily dodge under it, but it will be in the way. None of this is life-threatening, but please don't let it fall on top of you.
So we're currently out here on Brissy Ridge about halfway through. And I'd just like to give some of my thoughts, being that this is personally my favorite of all of them. I love Sulphur Springs for its natural beauty, or Sulphur Trail, excuse me. But if there's something I would bring up about it, it's far too populous. When you come out here, this trail is far less popular, which just to me has all the advantages in the world. I like having some of that isolation. Further, it's a lot more trying. You're going to find yourself climbing up on root and rock. So you're really getting in there to work those quads, if you know what I mean. And the gluteus maximus. I'm feeling it, not gonna lie. But as we come up here, I would like to say, if there's one negative, it's far less maintained. This area has always been hit hardest by storms, and it's deeper into the forest, so plenty of pine's gonna get knocked down throughout the year. And you might find it a little harder to work through because of that. Generally, it's been cleared, but It can take about 3 days to a week, depending. Still, I enjoy the challenge, but if you're looking for something easier, this wouldn't be the place. But for me, it's perfect.
For several moments, you want to be looking down to make sure you don't trip, but eventually you have to look up, and what you'll find is the final climb at Brissy Ridge here, which will lead to the parking lot. You have to dig your way out of this one.
You'll notice that when coming out here, the climb gets a bit sticky. We're fortunate that today actually is one of the dry days, so we can make it up here relatively easily. Now today here at Brissy Ridge, it's actually a very good day, but please keep in mind, this footpath gets very thin, and if it's been raining, it tends to erode. So please be careful when you're here. And most of all, if you think you're losing your balance, lean towards the mountain. Just in case you didn't feel that this climb was enough, please remember that there are 2 more switchbacks up ahead.
Once the more serious section of the climb was finished, I pulled over for a second, went off the beaten track, and went to one of my favorite places to have lunch in the day, somewhere secluded and a bit further away from other people. Forgive me, friends, I'd put it on the map, but I gotta be honest, I'd like to keep this spot just for me and a few others for now. Thanks for understanding.
So we've just finished up now over at Brissy Ridge, and from here, we're gonna go ahead and shut off the cameras, because at this point, the walk back is nice, but not really as show-worthy here once we go back on Sulphur Springs. From here, we're gonna make the roughly 2.5-mile trek back to the base camp, and then we're gonna close off with our final thoughts. We'll see you there. Now, having finally finished up our 10-mile ruck today, I can say for certain that we've all had a really good time, but let's go ahead and review it now and have our Eager Beaver Hour. Now, we had a really great time today here at Paris Mountain. We really enjoyed our 10-mile ruck, but that being said, we'd like to go over some of the details with you. For starters, this is a great place to come out for near any age. It's especially family friendly. There's a playground, there's an open pool. You can go swimming at your own risk, mind you. It's going to have biking available for you, and there's a variety of trails from the very beginning, easiest, up into something more technical and challenging. You can play it any way that you like. That being said, this area is going to be very populated, so if you want to be alone in nature, this isn't quite what you're looking for. There's going to be a lot of visitors from the city and from outside of the city as well, especially on a weekend. Now, when you come out here, please be sure to remember to bring the essentials. This includes the like of your medical kit, your water, and your nutrition. Further, if you have specific needs, then please address those and take it along with you. Any way to supplement that is important. When I came out here, please remember that I had an excess of items. This is in the bag for the sake of training and adding weight, and I'm quite used to that. If you're going to do that, make sure you're comfortable with your setup, and further, please have the bag properly set up. As much fun as we had, I'm sorry that we weren't able to get all the shots that we were hoping for, including the Kanuga and the Pippessewa. This, of course, would have helped if we had actually brought the charging cable to the battery. Further, I'm horribly sorry that we had a costume malfunction and tore a hole in the pants, but to be fair, we have much better aeration now. We'd like to thank you again for coming along on this trip with us to Paris Mountain. Further, we'd like to thank our friends here at Paris Mountain State Park for giving us such a wonderful time and really providing a beautiful facility to come and visit. Again, this is a great place to come. We highly encourage you to bring your friends, your family, your children. This has something for everybody here. It's such a beautiful place to come out to. We thank you so much, and if you've enjoyed our content, please like and subscribe. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
As always, dear viewer, we thank you for your time. Now, until next time, this is the Eager Beaver, signing off.